kitchen light is still on at 6 a.m. Somewhere behind a fence in a wooden coop with wire mesh and the smell of straw, a hen shifts her weight, and something happens that will end 30 seconds later in a small warm oval sitting in a nest of shredded newspaper. No rooster crowed. No rooster ever lived on this property. Smooth, pale brown, ready to be cracked into a pan. What if the thing you thought needed two to make only ever needed one? What if the difference between empty and alive isn't what you were taught it was? What if the egg on your counter this morning has been quietly answering a question about life itself and you never even asked it? Chickens lay eggs constantly, rooster or no rooster, millions of them, every single day on farms that have never housed a single male bird. So what exactly is inside that shell? Picture a backyard in Ohio, 1943. A woman named Alice keeps 4 hens for the war effort. Eggs are rationed, and a home flock means breakfast without a coupon book. She has no rooster. Roosters are loud, illegal in some towns. Every morning she opens the coop and finds eggs waiting anyway, 1 per hen like clockwork. She isn't confused. Farmers have known this for centuries. A striking number would still say you need a rooster. The knowledge got lost somewhere between the farm and the fluorescent lit aisle of the supermarket. So here's the actual biology, and it's stranger than the myth. A hen is born with roughly all the egg cells she will ever have. Thousands of them, packed inside her ovary like seeds, and once a day one of those cells matures, gets coated in yolk, and begins its 26-hour journey down the oviduct. Along the way, it picks up albumin, the egg white, then 2 thin membranes, then a hard shell built from calcium she pulled out of her own bones that morning. No sperm required, not for any of it. But here's where it gets strange. That yolk and white bundle isn't nothing. It's not inert. It is, biologically speaking, an unfertilized ovum, a single reproductive cell, dressed up in the elaborate packaging. The hen's body doesn't know or care whether a rooster exists. It runs the assembly line regardless, so the egg on your counter isn't a chicken that failed to happen. It's a chicken that was never asked the question. Now, something even stranger happens. And this is where the story stops being about chickens. In 1957, at the University of Illinois, a researcher named Alexis Romanoff, who spent his career studying the extraordinary complexity of the avian, helped catalog just how much machinery gets deployed for a cell that has zero chance of becoming anything. Calcium carbonate shell, antimicrobial proteins in the white. Why would a body spend that much energy on something with no destination? Except, and this is the counter-argument worth sitting with, is the wrong word entirely. Maybe the hen's body was never gambling on fertilization. Maybe ovulation is simply a rhythm, a cycle running, because that's what the system does, independent of outcome, the way a heart keeps beating whether or not anyone is listening to it. That reframes the question. It's not, why does the hen make eggs for nothing? It's, why did we assume eggs were only ever for something in the... Compare it to something closer to home. Humans ovulate roughly monthly, cycle after cycle, whether or not conception is even possible that month. The process runs on its own schedule. Nobody looks at a woman's menstrual cycle and calls it purposeless when pregnancy doesn't occur. It's simply biology, doing what biology does, with or without an audience. The hen is doing the same thing. We just built a myth around her because her version comes wrapped in a shell you can hold in your hand and cook in a pan. Here's a twist that unsettles that comfort, though. In rare cases, and this has been documented in poultry science literature for decades, a hen's reproductive system can behave in ways that blur the line even further. Occasionally, a yolk releases but never gets a shell around it at all, and the hen reabsorbs it internally, as if the whole process gets quietly canceled midstream. Other times, extremely rarely, a hen produces something science still argues about. A double-yolker with 2 full reproductive cells bundled into one shell, the body that seemed so mechanical, so rhythmic, turns out to have its own quiet variability. It surprises even the people who study it for a living. So if fertilization isn't required to make an egg, what is fertilization actually adding? This is where everything changes. A rooster's contribution isn't the egg, it's the blastodisc, a tiny pale disc on the yolk's surface, present in every egg, fertilized or not. In an unfertilized egg, that disc stays exactly as it is, a cluster of cells with nowhere to go, permanently paused. In a fertilized one, sperm meets that same disc inside the hen's body, before the shell even forms, and the disc begins dividing, cell by cell, layer by layer. Given 21 days of warmth, it becomes a heartbeat, feathers, then a beak tapping from inside its own shell. The egg you eat for breakfast and the egg that becomes a living bird are, at the moment they're laid, almost the same object. The entire difference is a few dozen cells on the yolk's surface that either started dividing or never got the signal to. Between food and the beginning of a life, is thinner, biologically, than most people are comfortable imagining. It isn't a wall. It's a switch that was or wasn't flipped days before the egg ever reached your kitchen. Sit with that for a second. Every fertile egg that becomes a chicken and every infertile egg that becomes an omelet started from the identical biological process, running on the same hormones, the same 26-hour internal architecture, the same body doing the same daily work, diverging only at one microscopic moment that happened or didn't, entirely without the hen's knowledge either way. Scale that outward. A commercial farm today with 50,000 hens and 0 roosters produces on average 1 egg per bird almost every single day. An entire industry built on a process that requires no male animal whatsoever to sustain it, running on a biological rhythm evolution shaped for reasons that predate agriculture by millions of years.